Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Washai, Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Washai, Brakathia Howell, Brakathia Howell, Bashim Yavashai, Bahashem, Rakah Kodash, double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well. Salutations to the hopeful elect out there, you Akim to Sadakim, that do this thing in the utmost truth and sincerity. I'm the priest Shimon. This is going to be a quick response to Apostle Tahar's video about gold jumping / Trump. I'm going to title this Why is Gold Skyrocketing? Well, there's a few factors, right? Primarily the printing of money, um, the more printing of money. And let me be more precise with that. The Federal Reserve is buying more corporate bonds, right? In layman's terms, they're bringing interest rates down, and if you are an investor, you need a return on your money, and this is forcing people. I'm talking about people that move pension funds and 401ks. We're talking about billions of dollars. We're not talking about a few chips. We're talking about big blue chips. You need a return on your investment. You normally would go to corporate bonds or federal treasuries to get a return, but now you can't because Donald Trump is ordering Fed Chairman Powell to print more money for this specific purpose, to force people into equities, which is the stock market, real estate, and as you can see now, gold, right? And a part of that too is weakening the dollar. Now, Donald Trump wants to weaken the dollar, and I'm going to go into a lesson why. I'm going to close out with a scripture, and as we've been going into lately, look, there's a market for everything, and news move markets, particular action move markets. And we're seeing a lot of shit that Esau does is orchestrated to move the markets for his benefit and his gain. Now, as long as interest rate go negative, and Fed Chairman Powell plans to say, he said he's going to keep rates negative for the next 2 years. Not saying we're going to be here 2 years. These were his words. You're going to see the price of gold continually go up. And I just want to go into this topic of, another factor as to why this thing is happening. This is, I'm going to go to the Barons. And if any brother, wants to read up on this and kind of get an idea of it, the Barons is good. Read the Barons. It makes you, it gives you insight onto what, is going on in this world financially. I'm going to read this particular article, another article, and close out with a scripture. All right, it says gold prices. This is the Barons. This was dated July 27th. It says gold is rallying. The mining stocks are the best way to play it, right? It said gold prices have rallied to new highs, helped by renewed weakness in the dollar, and that's the key thing. A weak dollar is strengthens gold, and the metal could soon be poised to hit $2,000 an ounce, right? And one thing I have to mention about gold is reciprocal, all right? So sometimes it does go down, and sometimes it skyrockets, and you can manipulate it. There's ways to manipulate it, such as printing money, such as negative interest rates. And it says gold gained $33.70 to $1,091 an ounce Monday. The old peak set in August 2011 was around $1,900 an ounce. Gold is now up 27% this year, making it one of the better asset classes investment. So they're kind of late to the party because the apostle been told brothers to get gold and silver, as the scriptures say. And look, as the apostle Raimlau said in his lesson, this is not to do with salvation. This is, look, better to have it than not have it, and also a stream of passive income, right? It's not about getting rich and being a millionaire, brothers. It's about just getting passive income, man. Money while you sleep, rather. And that's how Esau thinks, all right? Esau says, this guy Warren Buffett said, look, if you're not making money while you sleep, you're going to work forever. We don't plan to work forever. We plan to get the hell out of here very soon. But if you could free up your time, you know what the scripture says about a man of leisure, all right? If you're not heavy into working 12-hour shifts and 13-hour shifts, you can make solid investments where money is working for you, and now you have more time for the scripture. So, that's how we approach it, At least I can speak for myself. I can't speak for every brother, but that's how I approach it. If I'm making money while I'm chilling, then I have more time to do lessons. I have more time for other things. Now, the key point right there is a weakened dollar. Now, I want to show you something. This is an article from 2019. All right. It says Trump wants a weaker dollar. Getting one isn't so easy. President Trump has made no secret of his frustration that the United States dollar has strengthened against other currencies. Yes, so in the heat of the crisis in March, the dollar was actually raising. People were expecting hyperinflation, but rather something happened the opposite, which was deflation, right? And deflation pretty much is debt going up while GDP is either staying stagnant or going down. Because it has to do with something called money velocity. How much dollars are being exchanged at a certain time. That's what controls inflation, right? And inflation was up in the 90s. And in fact, if this is on GMS to the point, you could scroll back around March when the spirit was on me heavy to be doing these little financial lessons. And I said one thing was off was all this printing but lower inflation. And then, you kind of get it after a while how it works with money velocity. And it's not so much of the printing of dollars because the Federal Reserve only has the ability to spend, not lend. And this place is, this Federal Reserve only have the ability to lend and not spend. And they use certain special, what do they call them? Special purpose vehicles. In other words, they do sneaky ways to lending. 2 Corinthians 2:11. We're not ignorant of this man's devices. So pretty much they're bailing everybody out, forcing investors to put their money into things that give them guaranteed return. Along with the fear, you see the price of gold skyrocketed, And there's different ways to get gold and silver, We recommend, coins. Also recommend jewelry. Now, jewelry, you don't get the full value of the gold, but one thing that's convenient is you have it on you, You have it on you. This guy of AMTV always talks about doomsday prepping and bag. Well, look, our doomsday bag is the scriptures, which we always have on us. And then when you have a form of jewelry, you always have a form of money on you. All right. So get some jewelry, keep it on you, because if shit hits the fan, you might have your money in your safe or you might have your money here. You can't quite get to it, So the trade war between Washington and Beijing, this is exactly what I was saying in them previous lessons. Look, the trade wars are nothing but currency wars, right? Why does Donald Trump want a weaker dollar? Pretty much, Donald Trump wants a weaker dollar to raise the Chinese dollar. He wants to raise the value of the dollar in China. He wants the Chinese dollar to go up. That way their labor force could be more expensive, forcing more jobs back into the United States. That's the strategy. This guy's a businessman. He's not an idiot, man. Don't listen to what the news say. This guy is not a fucking idiot. You don't manage billions of dollars and be an idiot. There's news and there's facts, all right? Just look at, people's actions, and, just look at his track record. Look at his track record. He had a book in 1984 called The Art of the Deal, and it sold so much books, and the only book that outsold it was the Bible. So I know the media might play this guy like an idiot, but you try managing $1 billion. Most of our people will spend that shit, go broke. You have to be business savvy. And that's the movie this guy is making. He's running America as a business corporation. More than different presidents run it in different ways. So this guy, he knows what he's doing. All right? If a weaker dollar means increased currency power of China, which means they have to pay their workers more, forcing people that export jobs to China to not bring them back to the United States. That's the move. It says the trade war between Washington and Beijing took an unexpected turn this week as China let its currency drop sharply. See that? China let its currency drop sharply. So that pisses off Trump. This is what this whole trade war thing is about. It's a currency war. So to compete, Donald Trump wants to drop the value of the dollar. That's how come he's saying he wants negative interest rates. His exact quotes were, if you watch these things, he says, negative interest rates are not good for the world, but it's good for America. What does he mean by that? If a country has negative interest, let's use who has negative interest? Japan, for instance, right? If Japan has negative interest and the United States doesn't, then Japan could buy government bonds from the United States with negative interest and then re-loan those bonds out at that country's interest. All right, so if they have -10 and you have none, they get it at -10 interest, then lend it back to you at your interest and make the difference in between. So that's why he said it's not a good thing, but it's good for America. And then there was a delayed reaction. And then a few people start clapping. And then what did Donald Trump says? See, the smart people get it. Because negative interest rates sound bad, but negative interest rates already exist in this society. Your checking account, for example. If you leave money in your checking account long enough, you're not going to have no money. So negative rates are already something we already know. They just don't call them negative rates. It says China let its currency drop sharply, and the United States responded by officially designating the country a currency manipulator. You see the hypocrisy of Esau? Because now he's doing the same thing, manipulating currency. If they wanted to bring the price of gold down, all they had to do was stop the Fed printing and let these different corporations go bankrupt. But again, it's a bid for who's going to be the head of the New World Order. All right? Which China is not up next to rule according to the scriptures. According to the scriptures, Esau is the end of this shit. All right? And the Chinese are the so-called Moabites. They're not up next to rule. Jacob is. The Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. It says the confrontation underscored the Trump administration's focus on weakness in foreign currencies and the corresponding strength of the dollar as a drag on the American economy. Now, investors are gaming out the prospect that the United States could actively intervene in the financial markets in a significant break from a decade-long commitment to free floating currencies. It's a big deal because I think it would mark a new sort of phase in how the U.S. approaches the international economy, said Michael Feroli, chief United States economist with J.P. Morgan Chase. On Thursday, the president again publicly expressed displeasure as the relative strength of the dollar, describing it as a drag on American industrial exports and the result of Federal Reserve monetary policy. See? So this was 2019. So these stuff that are happening now, it's not happening sporadically. If you follow this dude going back to years, you can see the shit that he does now is shit that he spoke about. All right? So he wanted to bring the value of the dollar down on purpose. Why? Because he didn't want to export United States jobs to China. If China could get the cheap labor, then they have an edge on the United States. So that's the move he's making. Now, I don't know if he's making this move expressly or his handlers are making it, but these are the moves that Donald Trump are making. It says, as your president, this is Donald Trump Twitter back in 2019 of August, about a year ago. As your president, one would think that I would be thrilled with our very strong dollar. I am not. The Fed's high interest rate level in comparison to other countries is keeping the dollar high, making it more difficult for great manufacturers like Caterpillar, Boeing, etc. So, boom. This is why they want to keep driving the value of the U.S. dollar down. Deliberately, on purpose. They don't care if the gold price fluctuates up, And this is why he's bringing down negative rates. If rates keep going down, the price of gold is only going to keep going up. And the reason that other article says the stocks market moves more than the actual gold price is because it's leveraged up. The company, the business. If you own a mining business, all right, and gold moves a little bit, your value of your business goes up exponentially because what? Because you deal in this commodity. You have a shit ton of it, and you're more leveraged at it. So that's how come that article says that. It says, but while the president might want a weaker dollar, engineering one is complicated. Here's the context you need to understand the United States changing approach to the dollar. Let's keep reading this. It's kind of good. It's good to know what's going on in the world. We gotta, know old things. And I got inspired, brothers to get into it. I kind of, I've been into it myself. And hey, it's all the spirit. It says, why would the United States benefit from a weaker dollar? A weaker currency makes a country's exports cheaper for buyers overseas. See that? So a weaker currency makes a country's exports cheaper. That's how come shit in China is so goddamn cheap. Because they have a weak ass currency by design. China wants a weak currency. It says a weaker currency makes a country exports cheaper for buyers overseas, giving a country a competitive advantage. For years, an artificially weakened renminbi underpinned China's growth as a manufacturer's base for the rest of the world. Right, that's how come China, everything was made in China. Everything was made in China. This is why. They have a cheap ass currency. You could get a shit ton out of people with a weak currency. A shit ton of work done out of people with weak currency. It says the Trump administration, like, think about it. If a company hires you and they're paying you $15 an hour, or $20 an hour, $30 an hour, if they could get people working for $5 an hour, they could hire hundreds of people. That's 7 times the amount of people you could hire. China does that, but on an extreme. Imagine you making $30 an hour, and they could find people making that will do it for $2 an hour, and that's what they did. It says the Trump administration tariffs on imports of Chinese-made goods are meant to raise the price of those products once they land in the United States, discouraging Americans from buying them. But one way for China to respond is to weaken the renminbi and to undermine the impact of those tariffs by making those products cheaper. So the trade wars are currency wars, and this is where gold is playing a huge factor. You know? And ultimately, as the apostles have been saying, this is the Most High's money anyways, you know? Now, if you want to continue reading this article, you can. I want to get into a scripture and close, because I have another lesson in mind, Lord willing. The article, again, is from the New York Times, and it says, Trump wants a weaker dollar. Getting one isn't so easy. So if you want to read more on that, or just type in Trump wants a weaker dollar, you can see that he wanted this for a very long time. It's just now becoming, like, you know, in the news with the surging price of gold. This is Genesis 3:1. It says, now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field. Now, the serpent is a so-called white man. And what does subtlety mean? Means under the web. Sub, under, till, tillus, under the web. Than any beast. Beast represents men, you know. The Apostle Paul calls certain Israelite brute beast. And the scripture says what? Don't be as a mule who has no understanding. So men are regarded as beasts. Among these beasts, Esau is very cunning. And Moab think he on some level, but nah, man, Esau is more subtle. In fact, a lot of those elite family Moabites you see, such as the Lin family, are what you call crypto Jews, meaning they're so-called Jews, but they look like Edomites. Very similar to the House of Saud. All right, the House of Saud are crypto Jews. They're not true Arabs. You could do the research or not. The brother in GMS Holland did the research as well too. So that's a good, interesting topic you could jump into too. How these different ruling families are actually crypto Jews or Edomites any old ways. Now the serpent was more subtle than any beast of the field, which the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushua the power had made. And he said unto the woman, yea, hath the Most High said, ye shall not eat of every tree of the garden. Now, I'm going to close right here, because again, this is I just wanted to touch this topic very briefly, bring out a scripture, just letting you know that the cunningness of the so-called white man, all right, and a few factors of what's going on with this thing. The gold price is moving. Why it's good to have gold. You know, that's it, man. That's it. I just thought it'd be interesting. And a great deal of information, you know. Look, I'm gonna give all praises to Yahweh, Ba'Hashem Yahushai, Ba'Hashem Rakakodash, the blessings of the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone True Well, and salutations to the hopeful elect out there. And again, everything that this man does is in some form or shape of manipulation to his benefit, and we're not gonna be ignorant of those devices. 2 Corinthians 2:11. All right, Shalom, brothers.